Everybody, thank you so much for joining our Facebook Live event. My name is Robert. I will function as your host today and moderator. We are really excited that everybody carved time out of your day to join us with a discussion with our ED leaders for our AdventHealth Northwest market. A little bit about myself. My name is Robert. I currently have the pleasure and honor of serving as the Regional ED Director for 5 of our facilities, with 2 more on the way. And I also oversee education and professional development for 18 of our emergency rooms here in Central Florida. I've been with the organization since 2007 at multiple locations and have had several leadership roles. And I think that just speaks to how AdventHealth grows their own leaders. So I'm really excited for today's presentation and for you all to have the ability to talk to some of our current ED leaders. Before we do that, I'm going to ask our producer to play a little welcome video to explain a little bit about AdventHealth.
Do this.
We all fall down, we get banged up, but the scars show what we're made of. Don't you look back, lift your head up, shake the dust off, tell me what you're made of. I can't hear you, I can't hear you. Breath in our lungs, beating in our hearts. Let's get the voice, you got something to say. It's a brand new day. 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 It's a brand new day.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing. So I'm going to turn it over to the panel at this time and just let them introduce themselves. And ED leaders, please tell us kind of how long you've been with the organization and what emergency room that you currently work at. And the first person I see on my screen is Miss Pam Davis. So I'll kick it to you first for your introduction.
All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for spending some time with us today. I'm Pam Davis. I have been with AdventHealth since 2008. Started, like Robert, at a different campus, and I am now at Winter Garden and Apopka emergency department. So happy to have some time with you guys.
Thank you, Pam. Let's move to Mel and Josh.
Hi, I'm Joshua. I am the director for the Seminole Market Emergency Department. So that's Altamont, Lake Mary, and Oviedo. I have been with AdventHealth since 2008, and I have spent all of my time with AdventHealth at the Altamont campus, and have enjoyed taking on the other 2 freestandings and working with them.
And hi, I'm Melanie Stokes. I have been at various positions throughout the system. I started out at Celebration as a tech, and then went into leadership after I finished nursing school, and work now at Oviedo as a nurse manager under Josh.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. And can you just do me a favor? Can you get a little closer to the mic next time so we can hear you a little bit better? Thank you. Miss Corrigan.
Good morning. I have been with Advent since 2006. I started off as a HUC on one of the inpatient units. I came down here into the ED. I've been down here for 12 years. I have only known Altamont as my campus. I am now the senior nurse manager for the Altamont ED. We are super excited to have everybody be part of this virtual event and hopefully get some people hired.
Excellent. Thanks, Nicole. And last but certainly not least, Chris.
Hello, everyone. I'm Christopher Wilson. I'm currently the senior nurse manager for Winter Garden ED. We are currently a freestanding and moving, transitioning to full service hospital. I've been with the organization since 2014. I started out at the Apopka campus and came over here into leadership at Winter Garden. Excited to meet you all today.
Awesome. Thank you all for joining us today, and thank you, leaders. I know it's busy, and I appreciate you carving time out of your day to talk with us today on this virtual panel. So a couple ground rules for our event today. The participants have been muted, but please feel free to write any questions, comments, concerns you have in the chat, and somebody on our team will be monitoring that, and we will respond appropriately. We will have some questions at the end for you all if through this virtual panel it has not been addressed. And then at the end of the event, we'll be sending some links with some videos, some virtual tours, and some campus-specific information. I do want to highlight for this particular event, there are a couple of ways that you can join our AdventHealth ER team. There's an experienced RN job requisition that you all can apply for. And then we have two other education programs. We have a graduate nurse program that is about 16 weeks. And then we also have a transition program. And again, we will drop the information on how to apply to those specific programs at the end of the event. With that being said, I want to open it up to the group for some questions that may be important for the participants to hear. So I am just going to give you all a high-level overview for the Northwest market. We have the Altamont campus, the Lake Mary campus, and the Oviedo campus. And then in the West Orange and South Lake area, we've got the Apopka campus, Winter Garden, and as Chris said, that will be transitioning to a full scale acute care facility here in April of 2022. And then right behind that, we are building two new facilities in the Claremont area, and that will be an OSED, which is scheduled to open in November of this year. And then we're looking at also opening a full-scale hospital out in the Claremont area as well. Currently, just these hospitals that these leaders oversee are responsible for about 200,000 annual ER visits. So we have a really unique opportunity to extend our mission to lots of people out in the community and those that we serve. So let me kick it off with our first question, and then I'm going to ask Pam to come off the mute. Can you kind of tell the group how you got into nursing and how AdventHealth's mission has affected your career here at AdventHealth?
Okay, perfect. Well, welcome everyone. I became a nurse because my dad was a fireman, a volunteer fireman when I was, well, he still is. So when I was growing up in Maryland, and back there you could join the fire department at age 16. So I was around the fire department my whole life. But when I turned 16, I joined the fire department, became an EMT. They paid for it, the program, and I could begin riding the ambulance. So I rode the ambulance. I loved going on the, I didn't like seeing people hurt, but I loved going on the motor vehicle accidents and going to people's houses and helping them. I loved the adrenaline. I loved the excitement of never knowing what we're going to face and being able to help people. But I did not like the snow and the rain and being cold outside in the middle of the night. So my brother and sister became paramedics. I decided to go the path of a nurse so I could be inside in a controlled environment with temperature. So I've been an ED nurse for 21 years and always in the emergency department. I love the unpredictability. I love helping people and just when they're at their worst, really making something better for them. The mission of AdventHealth, when I came here, before I moved to Florida, I worked in Maryland and I wasn't in a faith-based facility. And I will say it's made a huge difference. The mission, extending the healing ministry of Christ, aligns with my faith and my personal values, the way I was raised to believe in God and all his wonderful doings. So working with the faith-based family allows me to integrate my two passions, and just coming into work and seeing Bible scriptures on the wall. And when you're maybe not having the best day and you look around and you see a Bible verse, it just really has helped me.
Pam, can you talk a little bit about if somebody isn't faith-based, really how they would integrate into our culture? You know, you kind of grew up in the faith, so it was a very easy transition for maybe some of the listeners out there that aren't highly religious. How has that AdventHealth culture embraced them?
Right. So we are very inclusive of all cultures, all religions, or if you're not don't have a religion, we our team is very inclusive, and we want everyone to fit in. And we pray. You don't have to take part of the prayer. And some people don't, like you said, Robert. Some people may not have been raised that way, but they maybe have other spiritual beliefs, and we honor all those as well and respect those.
Yeah, awesome, Pam. Thank you so much for sharing. I do want to go to Chris. And Chris, can you tell the group kind of what makes working in the ED special?
I would say, coming from, I personally started off in labor and delivery to begin with. Coming to the ED world is a very different place. Not only do you have a ton of autonomy, but it's that group aspect of seeing how well the team works together. I joke around that it's kind of a lion's pride in this way, where it's really grouping together, doing what we need to do to care for our patients, but it's also that aspect of we spend a ton of time together. It's loving on each other, celebrating birthdays, being there for if somebody's having a rough time and supporting each other through and through, as well as being very visible in our communities. The ED takes a lot of pride in our presence and what we do for our guests. And we want to make sure we are doing the best that we can always. So it's that constant loop of how do we innovate? How do we address what's going on? And how do we make sure our community knows we're here to support them, which is very different than anywhere else.
Yeah, I could not agree more, Chris. They say once an ER nurse, always an ER nurse, and it's definitely a unique environment. So anybody that's even interested in joining, it will be something that stays with you kind of forever. So thank you for sharing. I do have a question for the group, and feel free to come off of mute. What would a typical day look like for an ER nurse?
I could speak about a typical day for the ER. It is very unknown. You come in, you do not know what you're walking into. It's very exciting. If you like the challenge of not knowing, it's like a treasure box. You don't know if your patient is stable, is unstable. You're literally doing everything all day long. It's very busy, but it's great because you're working with the physicians, you have paramedics, you have techs, you have your assistant nurse managers there, and everybody's there to support each other, work together to try and figure out what's going on with that patient. So a typical day for an ER nurse is unpredictable. I'd say is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, and I could not agree more. I remember, Nicole, when I was thinking about, gosh, do I want to go to ICU or do I want to go to ED? I walked in the ED and it was just chaotic, but exciting, right? You spend all this time and energy going through nursing school, learning OB to cardiac, and really EDs where you get to use a little bit of it all. And I agree with you. It's different every day, and that's definitely exciting. Another question for the group: can you kind of get a little specific, maybe in some of your areas, and tell the group a little bit about your ERs?
Well, I can definitely talk about mine. So, I'll talk about Altamont for a second. Can you hear me okay, Robert? I know a minute ago you said, okay, good. So for Altamont, we're in a location where our population is really diverse. And so it's a great place to learn. If you're a new nurse or a transition nurse coming from, an inpatient unit or something like that, we've had lots of ED nurses who have transitioned from an ED somewhere else in another state and come here, and, it is challenging, but the great part about it is it's such an awesome place to learn. We have, nursing homes and things like that around, so we have a geriatric population. It's Altamont, Longwood, Castleberry, those are all very residential areas, so we get families, right? So you get the adult population, you get the kids. We have labor and delivery at our campus, and so you get the babies who come back, so you get that. You really do get a really wide range of patients that you get to learn to take care of, lots of different procedures that you get to learn. And so I've always found that part is really, really exciting. The other cool part is we do have 2 freestandings attached to our parent campus, Altamont. and that's Lake Mary and Oviedo. So we really all work together kind of as a family, one big team. And so after you have a certain amount of experience, you can go work at a freestanding or an OSED and get to experience that. And it is a little different. There's less resources there. You know, it's a smaller environment. Obviously, they see less patients, but really in contrast, and whether you have 4 patients at Altamont or you have 4 patients at Oviedo, like it doesn't matter, you have 4 patients, but sort of the way some of those things are done, the way you go through an admission process, the way you do some of those things is just different. And I think it's a really great learning, a really good learning environment.
Josh, can you share a little bit about the services that you said that Lake Mary and Oviedo are indexed kind of to your parent campus, Altamont. Can you talk a little bit about the services that the Altamont Hospital offers?
Yeah, sure. So we have our cath labs, and so, you know, like if we have a STEMI come into the ED, we do our own STEMIs, they do the intervention. There's a few things that they mix into our really big campus down in Orlando. But overall, they do most everything in the cath lab. We have L&D and NYU. Not all of the AdventHealth campuses have that. So there's a few things also that we don't do. So some of our stroke patients, some we keep, and then some who need intervention will go to our big campus. So the one thing that you would find in working for AdventHealth is AdventHealth Orlando is a really massive tertiary center, and they do like everything. And so a lot of the campuses have a lot of different specialties, but some we don't. And so then we send those patients to our larger campuses. But it's good to have like all those resources, and we sort of all share them. So we also are starting an orthopedic program. We have a whole new orthopedic, it's Rothman that's coming on board with us. And so we have that starting. We have radiation oncology. So there's really a lot of different groups at Altamont that have their specialties based there.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh, for explaining a little bit about the services in the Seminole market. Pam, I want to go to you in the West Orange and South Lake. Can you tell us a little bit about your areas?
Yeah, sure. So I'm the director of Winter Garden and Apopka Emergency Department. So I'll start with Apopka. Apopka ED is a community hospital that services Apopka and the surrounding communities. So we are right along the 429, the very popular, or I'm sorry, very busy interstate. The patient population for Apopka is majority middle class. So we see patients aging from birth to elderly. And when I say birth, we have delivered several babies in our ER, in the parking lot or in the ramp coming up to the ER. People see the hospital off the road. They think that we have labor and delivery. We don't, but we all have delivered the babies here. And then we send them off to Orlando, like Josh said. We see all types of illnesses from minor sprains, toe stub, to major trauma like gunshot wound, strokes, and heart attacks. When we do not have an interventional cath lab yet for our heart attacks or our STEMIs, but we will be, hopefully by the end of this year, have an interventional cath lab at Apopka. So super exciting. We're also a stroke receiving center. We can do PPA, but if it's interventional stroke patients, then we do have to send them to Orlando. For Winter Garden, a little bit interesting history there. Winter Garden was one of the first freestanding EDs for AdventHealth in our Central Florida with Lake Mary. So freestanding means the facility does not have inpatient beds. And like Josh said, Lake Mary and Oviedo are also the freestandings, we call them OSEDs, but they're going to stay that way. Winter Garden, however, was never meant to stay as a freestanding. So we are finally getting our tower. We'll have about 80 beds by May 2022. And we're going to have service lines for the community. Winter Garden community is more of a young family community, so we're going to try to cater to their needs more so with the service line, but it'll be complementary to Apopka service line in what we offer our community. Because we don't have inpatient beds at Winter Garden currently, we transfer to our sister campus Apopka if we have admissions, or we'll go to one of the hospitals in our area if Apopka is full. But in the next 6 months, we're excited to be preparing for the new tower. We're going to be bringing new staff members into the ER and into inpatient, and just starting the new processes of what it looks like to get a patient from the ER into inpatient or, over to CAT scan radiology. So we're excited about that. Winter Garden also has birthed some babies, and they see, because they, of course, do not have labor and delivery, and they see birth to geriatrics. They do have a larger pediatric population because of the young families over there. And both Apopka and Winter Garden and Altamont, Lake Mary, and Oviedo have children-friendly EDs. So we do have the little rooms for our little visitors. But we do see illnesses from minor sprains to chest pain to trauma at Winter Garden as well, and equipped to take care of that.
Awesome, Pam, and thank you guys both for kind of providing that high-level overview. It's so interesting. Each kind of campus has its unique culture, and the patient population is a little bit different. So the needs of that community tend to shift a little bit. So thank you for sharing. I am curious, maybe from the panel, if somebody wants to come off of mute and share, what would you say for maybe the nurse that works on inpatient and is thinking about coming to the ER, what's different about choosing to work in the ER, maybe versus an inpatient area? I see Mel trying to, oh, there you go.
There you go. Well, the ED, I have always enjoyed working in the ED, but if you're coming from inpatient to ED, it's more of a broad spectrum of people. It's not specialized. If you're usually up on the floor, you have people that have ortho or surgery or something like that. Your floor, you have a certain floor, but in the ED, you get all of it. It's an unknowing, like Nicole said, it's a treasure box. So you never know what you're gonna get. So that was.
Yeah, that's great, Mel. Now, Mel, I know you recently transitioned from an A&M to a nurse manager. Can you talk a little bit about the night shift dynamics within the ER service line?
Yes, I was an A&M at Altamont on nights. It is exciting. I really, really enjoyed and embraced my staff. The night shift is a very cohesive team. You have to really depend upon each other. There's usually not higher management at that time during the night, so you depend upon each other to make decisions. Maybe think outside of the box at times, sometimes. But also at nighttime, you always can reach out to Josh. Josh was always there for me. It was very nice to be able to do that at any point during the night. But it is a very cohesive team. We relied on each other. We had each other's backs. And it's also a great time to, the docs would like to teach us a lot too about certain people and their things that they came in for.
Awesome, Mel. Yeah, and definitely welcome to today's shift. You're doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
Can somebody on the panel kind of talk a little bit about what makes your particular area a unique place to work?
Oh, sorry, I was trying to, go ahead, Josh.
Oh, you got that.
I was trying to unmute. I was having issues. Well, for me, Apopka and Winter Garden are like a family. I've been with AdventHealth for 13 years and Apopka and Winter Garden for 6. And, I was just talking about this today. Some mornings when you wake up or you're getting ready to go to work and you're kind of a little bit tired because it's been really busy lately, and you're kind of taking the drive and you're like, oh, I wish I could stay home today. But then you get into work and you walk in the door. And for me, it's when I see my team. When I see my team working with the patients and working with each other collaboratively, that's when in my heart, I'm like, I'm home, right? I'm back, I'm at my home away from home. And I see the team, loving on each other and, coming to talk to me about what's going on, or, oh my goodness, yesterday. And it's that camaraderie, I guess I would say, that brings it, that makes it so good for me. The ED isn't an easy place to work, as we all know, because we're all ER people here. But I would say the joy, satisfaction you get when you can help with somebody with something as minor as a stub toe, but they think it's an emergency, or saving a life, or crying with your team over a death of a patient that came in, and crying with the family and having that closure with them. I would say watching my team come together for those crises and through COVID has just really made it really special.
The one thing I will say about the Altamont campus, and I kind of touched on this, and so I've been there my entire nursing career, and it's been it's like a big family. I mean, I think that's the one thing I will say, just in general about AdventHealth. I mean, even like this group of people that are on this call together, like, we're always in contact with each other. Something's going on. We're like, oh, this is weird. I don't know what to do. You have somebody you can call. I mean, we work in an ER, so it's a really ever-changing environment, and it takes a really good group of people to work through some of those things. And so you have that. Even it's funny. Some people who come from like other emergency departments or other healthcare systems, they ask, one of the first things they ask is, how's your relationship with inpatient, right? To be honest, we have a great relationship with our inpatient partners. So our inpatient directors and those things, we have an awesome relationship, and it makes a big difference. So I would say those are things that are different about not only my campus, but AdventHealth in general, but certainly our campus is very much like a big family.
Yeah, the only thing I'll add to that is I definitely agree with you all. The ED is just one big family, right? We're in the kind of chaos together, and it's really exciting. The one thing I'll say about AdventHealth, just from an overall culture perspective, yes, it's very family oriented, and Pam, you said that, right? It's our family away from home. But AdventHealth as a corporation really tends to invest in their employees, right? Mel, we said, was an A&M and now is a nurse manager. Nicole Corrigan was an A&M and now is a nurse manager. So I myself am an AdventHealth baby. I started as a senior nurse tech way back in the day and went through a training program, and really, again, I think that speaks to that overall AdventHealth culture that we really invest in our own. And if you're interested in growth and development, this really is a place to start your career. I am curious from the panel, can any of you talk about the nursing culture or unit practice councils that you have in your area, and maybe what some of the projects are that they are working on?
Sure, I can talk a little bit. Winter Garden has had a consistent unit practice council now for really since opening. Unit practice has been really integral into determining what our processes look like. It's really been involved in terms of getting everyone's voice. So right now, our current president is a member of the imaging team. And it's really, how do we get feedback? What's going to work for everyone? Current process we're looking at has been, what does our front door look like? How do we keep our patients safe when they're in our lobby and keep that clean? Feedback that we got from our consumer access team who's up there has been, we want to make sure everyone's doing rounds and make sure that area not only looks presentable, but feels comfortable. It was the unit practice council that kind of brought it up of, hey, we need to change our chairs. They're not that comfortable. There are things that are falling apart, and we can do something to fix this. Throughout the years, it's been everything from what does the welcoming process look like when we're sending guests home? What is the communication that we want to present as a joint team and make sure it really feels like a unified effort? Unit Practice Council has been really important in terms of not only knowing what's going on with our guests, but bringing things forward for the team. We really want to see more of this, or this is how we want to celebrate each other. The benefit of being at a freestanding is there are so many other departments here that you don't necessarily see all the time that are more visible when you're at freestanding because it's just you guys. So it's been even, how do we welcome and onboard new team members what does that process look like? We have goodie bags now that we kind of give out. That's been a really popular hit. The other big thing is coming together and making birthdays really important. And that's kind of the crux of who we are and what unit practice does is we celebrate each and every birthday and each and every team member, whether they're clinical or non-clinical. But it's exciting to see the things that they come up with and how they really strive to get everyone's feedback and everyone's opinion that's on the campus.
And at Altamont, we just restarted our unit practice council, but before that, we actually have a hiring committee. So now they are kind of one team. So they have ownership of who we hire, who comes into the department, how people get onboarded. It's been very busy lately and people have not been able to have lunches. And so they're coming up with ideas to have a snack cart so that us as leaders are being able to support them. They're giving us suggestions on how to work better with the physicians. As far as like the culture of it, we really do want them to own their department and be able to speak to what they want, how they want it to be. And we encourage everybody to join. We have not extended it to, the ancillary departments like radiology, but that would be nice for the representatives to be part of the feedback. And, it's just something that we really want to promote is this is your team, how do you want it to run? How do you want it to work? And who's here with you? So as part of our culture, for hiring, we literally will not hire anyone unless the hiring committee is unanimous on who wants to be here on this team.
Yeah, thank you, Chris and Nicole, for sharing. And I love that you guys ask your frontline clinicians, hey, what are your problems and what are some solutions and how can I help you? I really think that's where the magic happens for the team member and the patient. I am curious, and I'm going to ask Nicole to speak about this a little bit. Can you talk to the group on maybe what that new hires experience looks like maybe when they join one of our ERs? I know you do some really unique things that we've kind of graciously mirrored at other locations. So can you talk about what that looks like?
So as far as a new hire experience, we are streamlining that. Once someone is hired, they are contacted by our HR, but our local HRs, but they are also now contacted by us leaders. So myself as a senior nurse manager, I send out an email that's welcoming everyone. I give you like, hey, where can you get your uniforms? What to expect the first day. Our educator reaches out and, basically lines up what's next. Here's the resources for everything. And then the very first day, we give them a welcome basket. It's small. It's like a survival welcome basket. It's, small things like coffee, a gift card, a meal ticket. And we actually have the preceptors give that to them as like, hey, here you go. Welcome to the department. And then I know as far as other onboarding, then they have virtual classes. And it is there's no question about what you're doing on your first day. And everybody's very excited. I know other campuses are doing like coffee time with the manager. So I do try to meet with them and say, hey, here's my card. If you need me, call me. The week before they start, Joshua, our director, actually will text everybody that's new for the week. And so they have his contact information and they know who they need and where they're going on the very first day.
That's awesome. Thanks, Nicole. And really, I think, again, I think it speaks to how AdventHealth welcomes new team members into our AdventHealth family and really tries to set them up for success. So thank you for sharing. So guys, it's been really busy right across the country with COVID surge and capacity issues. But can anybody on our panel talk about how do we promote kind of work-life balance for our employees in the emergency room service line?
I can do that. Truly balance is something that we talk about a lot. We have something sort of in our system called Creation Health, and that's really part of it. And it comes in a lot of different ways. Obviously we give PDO, right, pay time off to people, and so we encourage the use of that. One of the things that we do at Altamont, I don't know that every campus does this, but one of the things that we do is self-scheduling. So there's a system where people can put their preferred schedule in, and I would say typically they get about 80 to 90% of what they put in. So out of the whole 6-week schedule, we might need to move 1 day or 2 days here or there, just to make sure that some things are balanced. But overall, having far majority of control of your schedule, something that's really important, because that's what gives you balance in your work outside of in your daily life outside of work. And so having that control is good. So we try to look at those things. People who are in school, we try to work with their school schedule. We allow vacations to be scheduled up to a year in advance. So there's some things that we try to just build in to sort of allow that balance to happen.
Awesome. Yeah, really great examples, Josh, from that overall culture perspective. It really is important for our employees to get that rest that they need and schedule their lives accordingly. I am curious, another question. Safety is everybody's number one priority, right? So can somebody on the panel share with the group maybe things that AdventHealth is doing as a whole, and specifically in the emergency room, around promoting a culture of safety?
I can talk on that a bit. In addition to we have what is called our score survey, where it really gets feedback from the team of how are we doing when it comes from a safety perspective. Are you taking breaks? Do you have the opportunity to bring up issues as they arrived? Are they being addressed? And that really gives us as leaders feedback to know what are the things that we are seeing on our unit and what's really important to our team. The other piece that's been really huge has been our lens board lately. Basically what that is kind of, I call it hospital Instagram is what my team refers to it as. And you can literally text the lens board and say, hey, this is what's going on. The phone systems keep going down, or I really am having a trouble getting a hold of the inpatient team. Can we have a more streamlined process for that? It is a really team focused approach having that lens board. What's beautiful is the entire leadership team gets to look and see what's being said, what are the team members bringing up, and then we get to integrate the team members of what would you like to do to address this barrier? What is your feedback before we start to act on it? And what are the things that you see as important, and who do you want at the table? We've had everything here at Winter Garden, from the inpatient thing was brought up, and from a system level, it was brought up of, hey, who else is having this problem? What we found out is it went from one person thinking that it was just them to figuring out our team as a whole was saying, yes, this is a big issue. And other teams were having that problem as well. So we were to come together as a system and say, okay, moving forward, here's our solution of how we can proceed with giving those phone numbers for when we do need to call HVAC, giving report that is. The lens board just makes life easier when it comes to, okay, let's address what's going on, but also how do we celebrate each other as a team? Safety is just as important as how engaged everyone is in showing the kudos for, I really appreciate you helping me out. So that's really integrated both, not only bringing those the barriers that are coming up, but also the successes that we're having as a team and highlighting it for everyone to see.
Awesome, Chris. Thank you so much for sharing. So besides a culture of safety, can you all kind of share with the group, what are some unique things you do to keep your team engaged and happy?
I can hit on that. I love making everybody coming into work and seeing everybody smile and being happy, and a happy employee makes happy patients. We go around with the joy cart, what we call a joy cart, that we can give out like snacks and candy and whatever, just to make people's day go by faster, or if they haven't had a time to get a break, or just to put something in their mouth to make them happy. And everybody is so happy to see it come around and grab something just to have something to eat. Also, acknowledging each other on the lens board is a great thing that they like to do, like take pictures before they start the shift and post it on the lens board to say they had a good day, or congratulations on a new baby, or just that they had a hard night and thank you so much for working so hard. So all these things, it's just great to be acknowledged. Also with our our talent care, our A&Ms, or our managers are also going around making sure they touch point with every employee at least once a week. So we're touching base with them to make sure that, if they have any concerns or, hey, how is your family doing? Not only about just work, but how they're doing personally and that they're okay.
Yeah, thanks, Mel. Those one-on-one connections, and I can speak to this, right? That's why all these leaders on this panel are sitting here, is one of their leaders recognized something in them, sat down and had a personal connection with them and said, hey, where do you want to end up in your career? And that's why these leaders are sitting here today. And that's kind of infused throughout the AdventHealth ED culture. One of the things that is unique to the emergency service line is we are one of the only service lines that has a unique professional development program specifically carved out for high potentials and existing leaders. And we usually will have some sort of topic that we talk about every single month. So if there's a need at a campus where, let's say Mel identified an A&M or a charge nurse that would like some more professional growth and development, she can sign them up for that professional growth series. Additionally, because we are a part of AdventHealth corporate corporation, there are several leadership development programs that we have the ability to put our downlines into that professional growth class. So I do want to ask the group, can you tell us a little bit about how we collectively supported the team through kind of the COVID pandemic and ongoing COVID crisis?
Yeah, so I think a lot of that, there was a lot of things done. I think some of the things to highlight is one, safety. So I think probably a lot of people know that during the pandemic, there was a shortage of PPE. It was on the news, pictures of, nurses wearing garbage bags for PPE, just sort of these crazy things. And our CEO of our entire organization essentially wrote a blank check during that time to say to our supply chain folks who go purchase this stuff, literally go spend whatever you have to buy the PPE that we need. And, I think that spoke volumes to everybody in the organization, everybody on the front line, to know that our top leaders were concerned enough about us that really ultimately money didn't matter. They actually ended up buying so much PPE that they had to rent out the Amway Center to store it all. And so, I think, again, that was one of those things that, when it comes down to keeping our employees safe, that's a priority for us. Other things were keeping people employed. So during the pandemic, as a lot of other companies were laying people off or in quarantine and those kind of things, our organization, they kept everyone employed. People, it's crazy to think of now when you think back, like we're so busy and everything with all the patients coming back to the ED, but at the time, a normal day for us is having 50, 60, 70, 80 people in the ED. And back in those days, we would have 5 and 10, and you have enough staff to take care of 80 people. And so it was a really, there was this secure feeling that the company cares more about the employee than they do about, the bottom dollar. And so I think that's something that spoke volumes to the team. I think more on like a campus, department level, it was more about feedback from the team. How do you think things are going? What do you think we need to change? We put up special walls and all this kind of stuff to sort of segregate the COVID and how do you want sort of the department set up so it's easy for you just to work in. But a lot of those were things that we just worked through with the team on a daily basis and kept up and got their feedback and tried to make the changes to make their job easier.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. And thanks for highlighting kind of our organizational commitment to keeping everybody whole during COVID. It was definitely scary times. And I think AdventHealth made the right move in saying, hey, get what you need to make sure our team members are safe. One last question that always is a hot topic for ED nurses is can somebody share what the relationship is like with our inpatient partners and kind of moving the inpatient holds out of the ED to their care spot on the inpatient side?
So we all have a great relationship with our inpatient units. I think Josh touched on that a little bit. I think I could speak probably for all of us, they rally around the ED when it's time. And it is busy right now and we are holding a lot. So they touch base with us, if we need lab help, radiology needs help, what can they do for the ED? And it's never been a time where it's, inpatient versus the ED. It is, how are we going to get the patients from the ED into inpatient beds? How can we better throughput? What can we do? We have lots of support from our leadership from the inpatient side.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Nicole, for highlighting that, because that relationship can make or break your experience in any department. So I appreciate you sharing. What I would like to do is really move next to each kind of leader talking about what open positions they have. I've seen a lot in the chat, so I do want to address some of those questions. We do have unique graduate nurse programs at all locations, so we can drop how to apply for those at really all of our 18 locations at the end of this forum. We are hiring LPNs. They will function in a ED RN extender role that is coming. And we are looking for techs and medics as well. For those of you that may be in nursing school and are looking to join a team a little bit sooner than graduation, we do offer a senior nurse tech role, which an individual that is in their last year of nursing school can join in a technician role to start getting acquainted to our culture. And really that's your audition, right, for your potential future job. So I encourage you all to look for those positions as well. But I'll turn it over to the panel. If we can just kind of go with Pam first, and you can talk about what positions that you are looking for.
Okay, hello. So thank you. Currently, we do have grad nurse positions available, tech positions, which I'm sure all of us have. And then we have night positions for RNs and mid shift. So 1P to 1A and 11P to 11A is our biggest need right now, in addition to the LPN and the tech. At Apopka. I'll let Christopher speak to Winter Garden.
Okay, let's go to Christopher for Winter Garden and then circle back up to the Seminole market.
So Winter Garden currently has RN day and night positions open. That is for new graduate as well as transition nurses and experienced ED nurses.
Awesome, thank you, Chris. Nicole Corrigan.
So Altamont has everything. We need nurses, we need nurse techs, paramedics, EMTs, which are techs. We have night positions open, mid-shift positions open. As far as techs, I think right now we have an array. You can apply for any one of the times, days, nights, mids. We have PRN, we have part-time. So full-time, preferably full-time, but we'll take anything right now. We do have a GN program that is starting in August. It is one of our bigger GN programs that we've ever had. We usually only have 5 or 6 nurses. This time around, we have 14. That includes transitional nurses. So I think Pam and I will both take TAP nurses. That is a nurse, it's an international nurse that is crossing over to work with us. We do take transition nurses and the experienced nurses. Lake Mary is not on here, so I could speak for Brad unless Josh wants to, but he also has night nurse positions open and mid-shift positions, and also paramedic positions for night shift open for Lake Mary.
Awesome, thanks, Nicole. Going over to Mel at Oviedo.
Yes, I have right now opened a night RN position and a per diem RN position and night tech position open.
Great. Thank you guys for sharing. And again, to the participants, there will be links to apply at the end of it. So here's a really important question. What qualities do you all, the panel, look for when you're looking to hire an ED new employee, whether it's a nurse or a paramedic? What are some of the qualities that you all look for?
I think somebody who has a willingness to learn, there's an eagerness there. The ED is a very challenging environment. So somebody who is, I would say, flexible, who can manage change. Okay, if you're somebody who really likes the same kind of like routine over and over and over, it's probably not the best place to work. It would probably frustrate you. But if you're good, with a lot of things happening, it's a great place to be. So somebody who's eager to learn, flexible, proactive, those are good qualities.
I'll add, in addition to what Josh said, is really somebody who wants to enact change. The more that you want to bring new ideas, bring innovation in, we want to hear those ideas and we want to make sure we're doing the best we can. So if you're coming to the front with that, that's awesome.
I don't really have anything else to add. That's what I was going to say. Someone who wants to grow and learn and likes unpredictability and change.
Someone who loves people.
Yes, you definitely have to love people to work in healthcare. It's definitely essential. So just in case there's any panelists, not panelists, participants that maybe looking for a leadership position, can you guys talk about the qualities that you look for in a potential leader joining your team?
I would like someone who is coachable, someone who's really going to be very positive, going to engage the team, support the team. A lot of us have a lot of new GMs. They have a lot of questions. So someone who is super patient. As one of the leaders here, I mean, I was a nurse and then became an A&M, and now I'm doing this. Someone that really wants to be in leadership. And there are other parts of leadership, like our educators and our clinical regulatory specialists, that are still part of leadership, but someone who really is inquisitive and wants to help people grow and learn. I think a big part of what we do is coaching. So someone who is coachable for me, but who is also able to be someone else's coach.
That is awesome, Nicole. I could not have said it better myself. Are there any other thoughts on the qualities that you all look for in a leader?
The one thing I was going to say is a leader is somebody who has to be able to lead out on change and get people to buy in, right? So even sometimes if we don't all even agree on what the change should be, right? As an organization, we decided we're going to do something. As a department, we decided we're going to do something. We're going to move forward. And as a leader, you really have to own that. And you really have to go out and get people to buy in. And you have to get people on board. And so you have to have some really good people skills to do that. You have to be able to kind of think on your feet and work through difficult situations. You might roll something out that's a new process, and maybe it's not working like you thought it was going to. And so you have to think on your feet about, okay, like let's get some feedback. How can we do it different and change, right? So maybe halfway through the day, you're going to change up already how you're doing it. And you got to be able to lead people through that. So that's definitely a quality that we look for.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, guys, for sharing kind of a little bit about what we're looking for in new hires, whether it's frontline or leadership position. I do want to make sure that this panel addresses any follow-up questions that have not been addressed, either in our conversations or in the chat, to give you guys an opportunity to take a second to write those questions down, and we will do our best to answer those as they come through.
I can answer or try to answer some of the questions. We do have a nurse practitioner, a nurse tech program, and that has to include that you finish your first semester of nursing school. I don't think we have an ARNP program right now. I could be wrong, but we don't do that here in the ED. We do have med levels that work in the ED, but they are not trained through us, is one of the questions. And then you can apply for specific positions in the ED in specific locations. So it will say, when you apply, it does say Altamont, Apopka, Winter Garden, Claremont, Lake Mary, Oviedo. It gives you a specific location when you actually apply. So if you're applying for Celebration, then it would say specifically for Celebration. If you're applying for a GN program, though, it is generic for the GN program, and you have to specify your location. You can only apply to one campus at a time when you're a GN. So, and they will only interview one at a time. So if you wanted to apply to Apopka and Altamont, you'll interview with me first or Pam first, and then you either will have to decline or accept whether or not you're offered a position. That's the only difference for GNs and where you're applying for specific locations.
Yeah, I can answer the experienced nurse prac in the ED. So we currently, we talked a little bit about our partnership with our ED providers, and that is through a separate company called Team Health. And they are responsible for staffing all of our EDs from a provider perspective. That is a separate entity from AdventHealth, but we do have a strong partnership. So I would encourage you to look at those locations or their landing page for their open positions.
I don't think we have any unanswered questions that I can see.
Did we answer the, are the nurse tech and ED advanced tech positions one and the same? That was another question that came up.
Oh, no. So those are different. The advanced tech position is, advanced tech 1 is an EMT. So that falls into the role of very much being with the techs. But in advanced tech 2 and 3, those are paramedics. So they essentially will function the same, but they have different responsibilities as the paramedics have a little bit more responsibility.
So Nicole, we talked a little bit about how great AdventHealth is at growing their own employees. Can you talk a little bit about the advancement for the paramedics to a 2 to a 3?
Sure. So after you've been here for a year with the organization and you want to advance to an advanced tech 3, there is a training program that you go through, and it broadens your skill set as a paramedic. So you go from starting IVs to being able to start IVs, give meds, splinting, starting ED protocols, and doing a lot more with your paramedic license with the scope of the organization.
Awesome. Thank you, Nicole. And I see that we did post the Claremont ER positions. I just want to highlight very quickly, this is a new facility that is not open yet. So if you're looking to get in on the ground level and help us build our culture out in that area, this is a perfect opportunity.
And someone asked, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm currently a HUC tech. So in our ED, we basically cross-train all of our techs to HUC. So if you hold a CNA license or you are an EMT, you can be a tech in the EDs. It has to be a PCT2. You have to be classified as that in order to work in the EDs. So you have to have a license for CNA or an EMT before you can become a tech. But if you are already a HUC tech and you're a CNA or an EMT, you would basically be considered a tech, and you would be able to apply.
All right, we've got about 2 more minutes. So feel free to put in any other additional questions in the chat. Before we end, I just want to say a very special thank you to our panelists today. I know you are all very busy leaders, so thank you for carving time out of your day to talk a little bit about our ER culture, our teamwork, and the future of AdventHealth. I know that there will be some links, as you guys can see, posted in the chat on how to apply, and we will hang out for a little bit unless, in case you guys, have some additional follow-up questions. And please feel free to reach out to any one of us. We are happy to tour any of our facilities for you. And I know that we've got some HR partners on the call as well, and we can help set those up. So thank you guys. I hope everybody has a safe rest of your day and a blessed weekend.
Thank you.
So I'm going to answer a question that just came through in the chat. It looks like there's a European citizen that has a tech role. There is an international recruiting team that works for AdventHealth Corporate. I'm not sure off the top of my head if they do take techs. I know there's a fairly large arm of that department that recruits nurses, but I'm sure somebody on HR can link you to the appropriate HR person. Oh, perfect. Tap. There you go.
Someone's currently at PCT2 in the 3rd semester of nursing school. What position would you apply for? You can apply for a tech position. I don't have any senior nurse tech positions open right now, but you can apply for a tech position to any of the EDs. And someone else had asked about issues with HR and applying. If you have long-standing issues and you're trying to apply at one of our campuses, essentially all of our emails is our name dot first name dot last name at AdventHealth. You can reach out to us. We can try and get you to a recruiter. You can send us your resumes. If you work for AdventHealth, you can actually come and shadow in our EDs. So if that's something that you guys wanted to do.
So Tori, if you, do you have 8 months of experience within the ED or outside of the emergency department?
Yeah, because if you have
within the ED, so if you are already trained, did you go through a training program for your 8 months of experience? You did. Okay. So I would encourage you to reach out to one of the leaders on the side. And that way we can maybe have a conversation and find out what program would be the best fit for you. We really want to make sure that we direct you with the appropriate program to set you up for success. Now, whether that's an AdventHealth GN program or putting you right directly into the ER, it may be better to have a conversation with a leader and an educator so we know where to direct you, excuse me.
I don't think any other.
All right, guys. Yeah, I don't think there are any other questions coming through. Thank you all for jumping on this Facebook Live event. And again, thank you to the leaders for joining. And we hope you guys have an amazing rest of the day and an amazing weekend. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.